Thanks, Anna, for your presentation and sharing with us the main conceptual characteristics of the agonistic memory. I am Ruzanna. I am researcher at the Armenia's Research Academic Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography. Currently, I am research team member of the DisTerrMem project and more often trying to think about the ways of dealing with the past. Although I have read your article on agonistic memory at the start of the project, as it was suggested some starting point, today I am happy to follow up your speech on agonistic memory. While reading and listening to you, I have a feeling that the approach was something very known for me. Later, I realized that it has much common with anthropological approach we used to use in our researches. This approach of presenting the human face of the past stories and memories is still the main tool for us as anthropologists, although I can assume that this is not obviously the dominant political or policy approach on the globe. So far, I got interested with the agonistic concept as I would look forward to decipher more possibilities for applying this approach to the very political or policy experiments. Unfortunately, we are still witnesses of antagonistic rather than cosmopolitan or even agonistic modes of conflict resolution in the wider region I live, from Caucasus to Middle East and beyond. While your presentation, I was trying to mark the key words and also key challenges of the approach. As I already told, as a social anthropologist, I would for sure vote for the statement that identities are constructed. So we need more reflection to reveal the multi-perspectivity of the things, and which is most important for me, to give voice to the other, not really speak instead of other, but give the voice. And it seems that this approach is not just about political or border conflict, but we also need to think broader about commitment of giving the voice to other, also unnoticed and muted people. I believe in the power of storytelling, artwork, installation, and human creativity, so I fully support the approach of bringing new modes of communication and dialogue. In the era of globalization and post-globalization, we have had much about dialogue, but it is still not fully negotiated tool. I agree that we need agonistic dialogue with all the voices and patience, as you have mentioned, showing how perspectives changed over time and how different positions and roles can be interpreted. Before moving the challenges to the challenges I see the concept would face, let me just brief a case implemented in Armenia and Turkey by German organization. As you know, Armenia has not an easy relations with its neighbors, and borders are still closed by 2 neighbor countries out of 4. We have open borders with Iran and Georgia and closed borders with Turkey and Azerbaijan since Armenian independence in 1991. From 2009 to 2016, TVV International, the Institute for International Cooperation of German Adult Education Association and partners, implemented a series of Armenian-Turkish reconciliation projects through funding support by the German Ministry of Foreign Affairs. These projects aimed at building bridges between the peoples of Armenia and Turkey through adult education, exchange visits, journalism, oral history, and art. The first project, Speaking to One Another, adult education, and oral history, contributing to Armenian-Turkish reconciliation. Was with partners Hazar Ashen, Armenian Center for Ethnological Studies, and Anadolu Kultur in Turkey. Several youth camps for students were designed to conduct oral history interviews, implement small-scale projects. Then the project traveled with an exhibition in Armenia, Turkey, Georgia, Cyprus, Berlin, trying to reach out wider audience in respective countries and diasporas. 3 publications were created as a result. Speaking to one another, personal memories of the past from Armenia and Turkey. This publication was based on oral history interviews conducted in both countries with participation of students trained under the project. Also, Prospects for Reconciliation, Theory and Practice, Proceedings of the Workshop was published, and Mush, Sweet Mush, Mapping Memories from Armenia and Turkey. All the cases aimed at creating platforms for multi-perspective conversations. Armenian descendants of genocide survivors in Armenia, people living at the former Armenian villages. They have mutual visits, interviews, hospitality performances, and further solid publications on the issue were designed. Which I value in this project is that theoretical and methodological reflection of the project leads, which can serve as some lab for future projects. The challenges should be common in sense and taken into consideration by applying the agonistic memory approach, such as ground agreements for sensitive terms and topics. For example, the term genocide was the only appropriate term to describe the massacres for Armenian, while it is not accepted at all in Turkey, or the land property issues, displacement, etc. Also, I value how the German partners saw the single visit of Turkish partners to Armenian village in Armenia, which was resettled by survivors of genocide in early 1920s. They see this meeting as a master class of folk democracy and diplomacy, and key lessons learned through the project, which further they addressed, that bringing people together is always pushing things in a positive direction. Learning about each other, learning with each other, broadens the common ground for respect and understanding. Feeling very much enthusiastic of this kind of projects and other attempts of multi-perspective approaches, we should notice that they are still not so much applied experiments into the policy perspectives. Meanwhile, the Armenian and Turkey relations are still remaining on the same political level. Moving forward, I want to put some questions for further discussion. First of all, why we are thinking about agonistic memory for post-conflict societies. The second question, what role does play democracy for this approach? And should we think about some comparable level of democratic channels for the sides involved in the conflict? And third question, can I ask you, please share some successful applied cases of the model in less democratic environments. Thank you for this opportunity for discussion. Wish all of us a very productive discussion. Thanks again.